Hello, English learners, and welcome back to English Pod. I'm Sophia.
Hi, Tim. Thanks for joining us for another informative episode. Today, we're diving into a situation that many international travelers might face when entering a country with strict customs regulations.
That's right, Tim. Our topic today is customs checks on food items, especially for travelers bringing fresh meat or seafood into countries like Australia, where the rules are incredibly strict.
This scenario is an excellent opportunity to learn useful phrases and how to handle challenging questions if you're stopped by customs officers. Let's kick things off with our vocabulary preview.
First, we have biosecurity. Tim, can you explain this term?
Of course. Biosecurity refers to the measures a country takes to protect its environment, agriculture, and economy from harmful pests, diseases, or invasive species.
That's why countries like Australia are so strict. Next up is declaration form.
A declaration form is a document travelers fill out when entering a country. It lists items such as food, plants, or animal products that might need to be inspected by customs.
That brings us to undeclared items.
These are items that a traveler doesn't report on their declaration form. Carrying undeclared items can result in fines, confiscation, or other penalties.
Good point. Let's move on to prohibited items.
Prohibited items are things that are not allowed into the country under any circumstances, like certain meats, seeds, or unprocessed foods.
And what about inspection?
An inspection is when customs officers examine a traveler's luggage to make sure it complies with the country's regulations.
Next, we have confiscation.
Confiscation means taking away items that violate customs laws. For example, undeclared or prohibited food items might be confiscated.
Great. Let's also include fine.
A fine is a monetary penalty travelers may have to pay for breaking customs regulations.
And finally, let's cover compliance.
Compliance means following the rules or laws. In this case, it refers to adhering to customs regulations.
Perfect. Now that we've expanded our vocabulary, let's move on to today's dialogue.
In this dialogue, we'll hear an interaction between a customs officer and a passenger named Mr. Tan, who has brought fresh meat and seafood into Australia without declaring them.
Listen carefully to how the customs officer introduces themselves, handles the situation, and how Mr. Tan responds.
Good afternoon, sir. Welcome to Australia. My name is Gordon Green from the Australian Border Force. May I have your name, please?
Good afternoon, Gordon Green. My name is Tan.
Thank you, Mr. Tan. Could you please step aside for a luggage inspection?
Of course. Is there a problem?
During a routine scan, we detected food items in your luggage. Can you confirm what you're carrying?
Oh, yes. I have some pork and fish. They're from Vietnam, and I brought them for my family here.
I see. Did you declare these items on your incoming passenger card?
No, I didn't. I thought it wasn't necessary since they're just for personal use.
I understand, Mr. Tan, but Australia has very strict biosecurity laws. All food items, especially meat and seafood, must be declared. Failing to declare them is a serious violation.
I'm sorry, Gordon Green. I wasn't aware of how strict the rules are.
Unfortunately, undeclared items like these pose a significant risk to our agriculture. We'll need to confiscate the pork and fish. You may also receive a penalty.
I understand. I didn't mean to break the rules.
I appreciate your cooperation, Mr. Tan. In the future, please ensure you declare all items on your form to avoid issues.
Thank you, Officer Green. I'll be more careful next time.
You're welcome, Mr. Tan. Enjoy your stay in Australia.
Let's start with the officer's introduction. My name is Gordon Green from the Australian Border Force. Why is this important?
It's professional and helps build trust. Customs officers often introduce themselves to ensure clear communication.
What about the officer's request, could you please step aside for a luggage inspection? Why is this important?
It's a polite but firm way to inform the passenger that their luggage will be checked. Customs officers use clear and professional language to ensure understanding.
And how about the question, did you declare these items on your incoming passenger card?
This question highlights the importance of the declaration form. Travelers are expected to list all relevant items, even if they think they're harmless.
Good point. Now, the phrase, all food items must be declared. Why is this emphasized?
It reminds travelers of their responsibility and the potential risks of failing to declare, especially in countries with strict biosecurity laws.
And finally, the officer's explanation. Undeclared items like these pose a significant risk to our agriculture. Why is this important?
It educates the passenger about the reasoning behind the rules, making the enforcement feel less arbitrary and more understandable.
Absolutely. By breaking down these phrases, we can see how customs officers maintain professionalism while educating travelers on the importance of compliance.
Exactly. It's not just about enforcing rules, it's also about fostering awareness to prevent future violations.
Before we wrap up, let's share some tips for travelers entering countries with strict customs rules.
Tip number 1, always research the customs regulations of your destination before traveling.
Tip number 2, declare everything on your form, even if you're unsure whether it's allowed. Better safe than sorry.
Tip number 3, avoid bringing perishable items like fresh meat, seafood, or plants unless you're certain they're permitted.
Tip number 4, be polite and cooperative during inspections. Customs officers are there to enforce the rules, not to make your journey difficult.
That's all for today's episode of English a Pod. We hope this lesson helps you feel more confident during your next trip abroad. Eh?
Don't forget to review the vocabulary and practice the dialogue. Send us your questions and suggestions for future topics.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time on English Pod.
Bye for now.